Did you start hearing, Mac? It's a yes or no answer. You don't have to do anything.
No.
Just say yes or no.
No. This is the
Jump in
wonderful
Zencaster when you think about it.
The wonderful new Stream Deck, which doesn't allow me to close OBS and then reopen it.
What new Stream Deck? Did John approve a purchase?
You know better than that.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. And shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP the Ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
All right.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, what's that? What? I don't want to invite anybody. Wait. Exit out. Stop.
What are you doing?
I don't know, man. I don't know how to click buttons anymore. You better mute. I'm going to end your life.
Am I not muted?
No.
You're not fucking muted.
You weren't muted the entire time Harry Mack was singing.
Am I?
Right.
No, your mute's not working.
Are we ready? Everybody done chattering? You're listening to episode 311 of PHP Ugly, a weekly podcast with 3 real-world developers who make a living using the PHP programming language. We get together every Thursday night around 9 p.m. Pacific time here in the United States and talk about our week, what we've been through, what we're looking forward to, talk about what's going on in the PHP world and our surrounding communities. We've got a few people we'd like to thank for making our show a little better. First, we always like to give a shout out to our Patreons on Patreon. These are just everyday developers who kind of show us that they appreciate what we're doing every month. We also have a couple of sponsors, honeybadger.io and Cloudways. We'll talk about all those individuals and companies a little later in the show. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get things started. I am your humble host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me, as always, is John Congdon.
I think Tom is going to blow his lid by the end of the episode with Mike.
It's always a goal of mine. And Tom right out.
Hello.
Blow his lid or flip his lid. I kind of screwed that one up, but I'm used to it.
I screwed up the whole intro, so it doesn't
I'm-
matter. So
I have multiple disinterested parties playing loud music in my house right now after being told, do not play loud music.
So you're
Well,
a
yeah.
parent.
I say raise your rent.
It's so adorable that you almost understand because you have what 6 and 7,
6 and 8.
6 and 8-year-olds.
Where you ask them to do something, it's no. I'm going to take something away. So. It's like, stop it.
I'm literally talking about 20-year-old grown-ass people. And very possibly my wife. Who were like, hey, this song is banging.
Was it Harry Mack by chance? Maybe they're listening to the show.
It's not.
Good.
Although I do have a Harry Mack question for this episode.
Okay.
Are we working on Harry Mack at Tech?
I will say yes.
We are not working on it.
Yeah, exactly. We're not working on it. If somebody wants to, buy tickets in hopes to see Harry Mack, we're not going to tell them they can't.
Okay.
But
First off, I assume my tickets are paid for.
You do work
Oh,
for
I'm
a
sure.
business that should be sponsoring, so I'm hoping
Yeah.
there's paid for too.
I was to say, once your company has that sponsorship level, they get a certain amount of tickets covered. So yeah, you're good. Just get your company to sponsor us.
I have to say,
That you're working on it, perfect.
there are a number of people now.
What's going on with your camera, Tom?
It's
Other stuff. There are a number of people now at my company who listen to this podcast. And
so let me put this out to the people that are watching from BetterHelp. We love you. We see you sponsoring everywhere, ads everywhere.
Love is a strong word there, John.
I think you would make a great partner with OSMI to sponsor PHP Tech.
No, OSMI is already sponsoring PHP Tech.
That's what I mean. Both of them together sponsoring a tech conference.
Should we start talking about some of our sponsors, or are we going to hold off on that?
We just did.
Well, that's one of them.
I mean,
let's just talk about the bronze, silver, gold sponsors. Yeah.
while you do that, I'm gonna go strangle a number of people. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. This is awkward.
Are we supposed to
not-
call?
it's not
are we
awkward.
Are we supposed to call somebody?
No, it's not a literal strangling. It's like a Simpsons strangling.
All right, go get him, Homer.
Would he be
John.
Homer, or would he be more of? Go ahead.
He is definitely Homer shaped. He's got a Homer shape, so we're gonna stick with Homer for him. He's Homer if Homer was like homeless. He's a homeless Homer. How was Longhorn? How was your presentation? How was talking in front of people again? What was that like?
Where do I start? No. Where do I start? The conference overall was fantastic. I didn't realize how much I missed going to a conference until I went to a conference. Like seeing people that I've known now for 12 years and being able to interact and talk, and it really was a great experience. On top of that, meeting listeners like A-Woods was great. I enjoyed just hanging out and chatting. I got there Thursday. On Friday morning, check in. I went to the keynote and a couple of talks, and then at lunchtime, I bolted up to my room. And then while I was up there, I was like, I still haven't seen A-Woods. I know he's here. So I got on Discord and was like, hey, I promise I'm not avoiding you. But I'm up in my room working on my slides and, going through my presentation again. Because that's what I did at lunch both Friday and Saturday. Up to my room, practicing more. I don't know if it helped because, oh my God, what a disaster my talk was.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Such a disaster.
What? Well, I mean, didn't see that on Twitter. What made it?
Yeah,
a
the
disaster?
good news is Twitter was busy with other disasters.
That's because there's only like 2 people in the room, and neither of them are on Twitter. They've both been kicked off, so they couldn't complain.
Oh, well, I know who was there at least.
No, actually, it went fine. I tried really hard to slow down my talk, slow down my presentation style, because I knew I was going to fly through the slides. I worked into a couple of points where I was going to take a sip of water, just one for myself to remind myself to calm down and to, quench a thirst. Yeah. At that point, I picked up the glass of water and my hand started shaking. I'm like, I'm just going to put that back down. Like, nope, I am not taking a sip of water right now.
You don't want that President Trump two-handed water sip situation on Twitter.
The little
hey,
support at the
everybody,
bottom.
Look at John Congdon. He has to hold water with 2 hands.
That thought did go through my head when I picked up the water. I was like, I could do that or not. Nope, not gonna do that.
That's so interesting to me. I mean, you are a seasoned presenter.
I'm sure he's being hard on himself.
I know he is. But you are a seasoned presenter. What about this made it such a different story?
I'm always like that when I'm presenting in front of people, even at the meetup.
Oh, that's true. We did used to drink a lot.
Yeah, that's true. So I was watching it prior to jumping on this recording here, and I am being hard on myself. It wasn't that bad. I wish I would have spoken into the mic a little bit more. I wish I would have been a little bit more clear with my words, because there are times where I kind of fade out. I forget what I wanted to say, so I have to look back at my notes and like, oh yeah, I'm at this point. Let me pick up from here. But all in all, I do think it went well. I got some great questions at the end. I finished probably 10 to 15 minutes earlier than I wanted to, but then questions helped fill the gap, so it worked out well.
I'm sorry, our Discord channel is being ruthless. Discord.phpugly.com. If you want to be ruthless towards honestly anyone in this podcast, that's the place to go.
Or if you just want to join in the conversation, that's the place to go.
I mean, they're separate channels, but they're in the same server, yeah.
So you said you were watching it before the show. Is this publicly available, or is this like part of the package deal?
Part of the package deal. If you bought tickets to Longhorn, either virtual or in person, you get access to the recordings. I don't know that they're going to go.
Can you still get the virtual tickets?
Somebody asked the organizers that, and they said no, and they're like, why not? You're kind of missing out on something there.
Yeah, seems like dollars dropped on the ground.
Exactly.
So, not to exclude Eric from the conversation at all, but you're getting ready for tech. What did you learn about tech from doing this?
Well, first I want to say I'm pissed off because we recorded last week and my lighting was horrible in the hotel room. Yeah, one of the gifts in the swag bag was a little LED ring light to go onto your laptop.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that would have been handy last night. What did I learn? It's a lot of work.
I mean, running a conference like this, it's the thing you fall asleep thinking about and wake up thinking about, right?
Somebody screaming, yeah.
Dreading.
First, you check that your teeth are still there, and then you worry about early enrollment.
I mean, the good news is John and I do have some experience with it. I mean, we had been running a user group, several user groups for many years before the pandemic, and then obviously we had Wave PHP as well, which I don't
You
think
say
was a total
obviously.
loss.
That's 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
4.
Oh, it's
4?
longer than that. Yeah,
It's 2018.
yeah.
4 years ago. Which
So we have like 5 listeners who've never heard of Wave PHP.
Wave PHP was awesome. It was a blast for me personally.
It was fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know. It was so much stress leading up to it and during it, but I don't know. I still feel like it was one of the best conferences in the PHP community. Just the best conference nobody went to. We had the beach, and it was great.
We had lunch on the beach. I mean, that was phenomenal. I thought
every day. Yeah. Every day. And then we had we were right there by Mission Beach, which here in San Diego, I'm going to say it's the touristy beach, and it is, but the cool thing about it is it's the touristy beach. It has like a wooden roller coaster and all this other stuff. That was walking distance from the conference. It was so cool. I enjoyed it.
Maybe one day again in the future. We will see.
Well, I mean, you guys obviously have much more public visibility than you did when Wave PHP started.
We have a few things working for us. So when we did Wave PHP, there's also a plethora of other PHP conferences. Next year, we're going to be one of just a couple in the US, and we have the PHP Tech brand now, which PHP Tech was always like the godfather of conferences. That's kind of what kicked off all of these regional conferences that started happening.
Give me the green light to kill people, because I got Ben Ramsey on my list.
Swear to God, don't get me in trouble.
God, that guy was so much fun to hang out with at Longhorn. We stayed up. There was a big group of us up in the presidential suite that stayed up on Saturday night to watch the time go back.
Wait a minute. Who was in the presidential suite that you guys were hanging out in the presidential suite?
So
don't tell me it was the release manager.
It was his room because he was a release manager.
Oh shit.
So we have a high bar to step up to. Actually, no. I don't know if it was included, like if they requested it with the conference or if they rented it or how it worked out, but Omnicolor on Twitter does homebrew, and he brought this massive kegerator with like 5 or 6 taps on it, and you could just go up to the presidential suite, get some beer, either hang out or take it and leave, and it was a blast. So Friday night, people would just go up there. There's a big group of people. Saturday night, since it was after the conference, it was a much smaller crowd. Just sat up there drinking beer. Although both nights had COC violations, code of conduct violations.
Well, let me interject though. This is how big of a geek I am. When you said homebrew, I thought you were talking about homebrew on the Mac. I'm like, oh, that dude was here. That's cool.
Nope, beer, homebrewed beer.
I'm a dork.
And I had his double IPA, which was delicious. It was really good. But yeah, code of conduct. We had a code of conduct issue at Wave PHP where we had to kick somebody out of the conference, which sucks. So they didn't have to kick anyone out of the conference, but they did have to ask them it's time to go to bed. No, I insist you go to bed. It's that time.
Did you go to bed?
I did. I was embarrassed, but I did leave.
Fine, I'll take my parachute and leave. Jumped off
I'm going out the window.
Glided down to his fucking room.
I did get to do that today. That was fun.
That the code of conduct stuff is interesting. It's such a fundamental part of how we run conferences and businesses, and it's a very good thing. I'm in charge of some pretty radical changes within the company, and I have to validate those changes to the people who are been with the company for 8 years or are in charge of managing the infrastructure and the architecture of the company. And when I do something just totally radical, I get asked, like, how do you validate that? And it's been really interesting because as an educator with SD-PHP and SD-LUG, and with this podcast doing 300x episodes, it totally comes naturally to me to defend myself and say, here are my sources, here is my reference material.
Why don't you do that on the show?
That's not what we do. This is about how Tom is always wrong, and then 5 years later, the NSA says, yes, we've been spying on you via your microwave. That's what we do. But being asked to defend myself, it sort of comes so naturally where I'm like, well, what is the model layer? What is the service layer? How do you define your domain in your architecture? And I had a lot of meetings today about what is a domain and what are the components within it responsible for. And to me, it's a straightforward answer because I've got this book of Laravel in my back pocket, but it's also Symfony and Cake and, to an extent, CodeIgniter that are like really everyone's building off of Symfony's concepts.
Eric, I have our next business idea.
You know me.
We're gonna start a musical, The Book of Laravel. It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be very small but potent. Well,
it's gonna be
but
a
I've
facade.
also, one of the other things, like the funny thing experienced at work, is people linking to articles and saying like, hey, this article clearly contradicts what you're saying. And then me saying, like, well, he's in my Discord. Let me ask him real quick. Like,
oh, you're right. I'm wrong.
It's like, hey, so this came up and I mean, communicating with the let's just say the unnamed current release manager. It's like, hey, is 8.2 gonna fuck a lot of stuff up for us? And I'm like, I don't know, let me ask him. And to me, like, the off the cuff sort of like, well, according to this book, this is the way you should outline your test suite. And I was like, oh, grumpy programmer? Like, I know him. Let me just tweet him and see what he says about the current situation. Like, I'm getting very jaded because of this podcast, because we just have a Discord full of incredibly brilliant people.
It is pretty special. It's not jaded. He feels. Let me see. Wait, I want to see if I get this right. You can feel one of two ways in what you're saying. You're feeling like we've got all these incredible people and you're feeling small, or you're feeling special to have all these people available and able to chat with, and where the people in your company may be like looking at you with stars in their eyes, like, really?
Such a dick. Sometimes, yes.
I gave two things there. What am I?
Sometimes there are stars in their eyes. But there's also the expectation that I'm doing what I'm paid to do. So when I do certain things, or I make certain statements about the architecture of our system, and people go, yes. I'm like, no, you don't understand. That's brilliant. You should be inspired by my presence. And then I'm like, oh no, they literally pay me exactly for this.
So you said you're making radical changes. Do you have DI yet?
I don't want to talk about it.
That should be.
You have Arable Bal yet, IB.
Okay, so
that should be your first radical change.
At first, yes, I have IB. Second,
Shocker.
So we got into a conversation about within a domain, is the model skinny or fat? And my conclusion was models are skinny and have methods that relate to their own behavior. But if their behavior extends beyond the model, you fire an event and say, I did this. If you care, you have to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have an event handling system. So they were like, well, are you proposing introducing an event domain, events into the domain? And I said, well, if you're working on a car and you need a 9-inch, you need a 9/10-inch socket when you've been working with metric the whole time, you just get the socket. You just get the tool you need and implement it. You don't worry about if it's approved for the domain model. This is how it's done. But, imposter syndrome. Who am I to say this is how it's done?
But you're not wrong. So that's the situation I deal with on a daily basis, right? For a decade, we took our models and like, oh, we need this functionality, just throw it in the model. Oh, we need this functionality, just throw it in the model. So my entire talk at Longhorn was about the pitfalls of the system I work in every day. And one, it's active record. Two, it's active record that has just had a shit ton of methods thrown into it. So when you do something on that record, something else happens. And when you do that at scale and you keep adding over a decade, you're going to screw it up.
I blame Martin Fowler for this specifically, which was Martin Fowler did a series of articles about domain-driven design and said models should contain your business logic. But he was very specifically talking about models in Java as Java beans, not as database accessors. So the language doesn't translate correctly.
It depends on your definition of a model, and we often use model as your data access layer.
So models in a purely data access layer for PHP are just get data, transform data if there's a requirement to transform it, and methods for specialty fetching, fetch by email, fetch by first name, whatever. But Martin Fowler wrote this article about anemic models that was about Java and how Java accesses databases is wholly a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But people still very much adhere to what he calls models.
I read it in a book. It's got to be true.
I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say, once again, surprising number of coworkers are listening to this podcast. So I'm just saying, maybe we should cut to an ad break.
I like that. Nice transition.
This video is brought to you by Cloudways. We are all developers and love to write code, but managing the servers that code runs on can be a time-consuming and error-prone process. Cloudways helps you spend less time managing your servers and more time doing what you really want to do, coding. You only need one account to manage servers on multiple platforms and for multiple customers. Pick just the server size and location that makes the most sense for you and your customers. You can even estimate your costs for your server before spinning it up. Cloudways offers peace of mind and flexibility so you can focus on growing your business instead of dealing with server management. With Cloudways, you get an optimized stack, managed servers, backups, a staging environment, integrated Git, pre-configured Composer, 24/7 support, and a choice of 5 different cloud providers: Amazon Web Services, DigitalOcean, Linode, Google Cloud, and Vultr. Get a discount of 20% for 3 months using the code PHPARCH. Check them out today.
Thank you, Cloudways.
Thank you, Cloudways. And you're muted.
Who is?
Thank you, Cloudways.
You back?
Before
Nope, you're not back. Yeah, Roger. We do know that Cloudways was purchased by DigitalOcean, and if Cloudways and/or DigitalOcean is listening to this podcast, please consider sponsoring us at PHP Tech. We would very much appreciate. We've used DigitalOcean for years. Back when
trust
we
me,
were
I see the
Diego
bill
Dev,
every
like
friggin'
Diego
month.
Dev.
I know.
Back when we were Diego Dev. Back when we were Diego Dev, we used DigitalOcean for clients. We've turned clients onto DigitalOcean, so I have no problem with you guys sponsoring tech.
as I have to say, before we change subjects,
Are you back yet, Tom? You gonna fix your mic, or am I just gonna keep rambling?
Can you not hear me?
No? Okay. So while Tom figures out his mic situation, did I ever tell you, John, you mentioned the book
John,
of
can you not
Laravel.
hear me?
Did I ever tell you my Book of Mormon story?
No, what was it?
Oh, shit. Now you're muted. I can't hear either one of you.
Yeah, you muted your whole.
Yes, problems on my side.
I thought he was. I was running with his joke. I thought he was.
I hear you now.
I was running with your joke. I thought you were just playing.
Before we transition to another topic, also mark the time so we can perfectly capture Eric completely ruining the stream. I was asked.
Rewind back to right after the Cloudways.
I was asked, what makes me an authority on how to do things correctly? I excused myself to go get a drink and set up my elephants, which clearly established me as a source of authority.
I want to see how that happened.
I don't think there is a recording, and if there is, I've deleted it just now.
Did they take you as that source of authority after that? All right, back to Eric.
I don't know. I mean, how do you know? How do you know when you're an authority?
I don't know. Eric, back to Book of Mormon. I want to hear your story.
I've never told you the story, honestly.
You probably have. Bad memory. I want to, but
Tom's shaking his head.
Refreshing.
Yes, like I've told him.
You were naked at the time, and it wasn't being podcasted, so it might as well go on this podcast.
Was I spanking you?
You were trying to. You missed several times.
So you know the play, The Book of Mormon, right?
Yes.
I should prefix this. The wife and I have always been pretty. I don't like to use the word liberal, but I guess liberal would be the best definition. Like open-minded, like wanting our children to be exposed to
Yeah, that's
a
liberal.
lot. right? I mean, cultures and theater and all this stuff. So we've always been pretty open when the kids were young. They're not young anymore, but when the kids were young, like we wanted to expose them. We took them to a lot of theater, uh, musicals, blah, blah, blah. So Book of Mormon, it's taking off. Everybody's talking about Book of Mormon. And we get tickets to go see. Have either one of you gone and see Book of Mormon before I go down this path?
No,
Yes.
but it's essentially a cleaner version
don't
of
ruin it.
Orgasmo.
Don't ruin it for everybody. But I am pretty sure this is what turned my kids gay. I can't be confident, but I have a pretty good because it almost turned me. Well, I mean, I was already not gay, but it
First
almost
off,
turned me off of men.
NBs can't be gay because they're NBs.
But so Book of Mormon, if you're not, I know we have a global audience. I don't know how much around the world Book of Mormon is known, but it's a satirical play musical about the Book of Mormon. And the wife
It is
and
hilarious.
I did not do our homework on this one.
No.
And we took our younger kids, like, I don't remember how young they were, but they were definitely too young to go see Book of Mormon. And oh my God, I almost walked again. I am not a prude. I am perfectly comfortable with
Yes, you are.
sexuality and
Yes,
all that
you
other
are.
stuff. But my God, Book of Mormon fired off. And I'm like, what does that guy have hanging between his legs? Jesus Christ, get the children. Oh my gosh. So when you talked about Book of Laravel, it got me thinking of Book of Mormon, and then I remember how terrible of a parent I really was. I was bad.
I have to back that up and say, teaching your children that being true to yourself is not being a bad parent. It's just counter to a lot of American politics. But being true to yourself is one of the most important things you can teach your children.
Amen, brother.
Okay, should we move on? Or
Yes.
do you want to start talking?
I have so much. I feel like Eric and I both have 20 articles in Trello. John
What's
has a literal 0.
What is Trello?
Pretty-
You
pretty
have
much par
eight.
for the
You have
course.
8 cards. What are you talking about? Like 20 cards each.
I want to start with just the easy credits. Elon Musk still sucks. If you're listening to our podcast, you have seen all of the parody stuff, all of the the Twitter blue stuff. It's hilarious. It is bizarre. I have never seen somebody lose this much money in such a short period of time. There's not much to say beyond that.
You weren't at Wave PHP.
He's lost billions. I was at Wave PHP.
So
You bought me
I have a
drinks,
question.
which on top of what you were already losing, I consider a
you
win.
talk so much. I got a question about the whole Twitter blue. So first thing, I'm gonna come out and say I'm already a Twitter blue person, but I did that to get the ability to edit tweets and things like that. I'm paying like $4 a month, so I still don't have the little check mark verification.
The gray
thing.
check mark.
Right, the gray check mark verification thing. But here's my question. Why is that only something you can get through iOS? Like you literally have to purchase your Twitter
I have
Blue.
the answer.
Okay, let me finish the question. You literally have to purchase your Twitter Blue for $8 a month through an iOS application. So either an iPad or an iPhone. I don't even know if you can do it on a Mac OS
Nope. You
laptop.
can't.
So you know why? Why, Tom?
This to me, this is a conversation I had with a friend of mine last week, which is let's say somebody asked you as a CTO to implement a credit card collection and then cyclical payment system
I
for
hope you can bring this back around quickly
50
our
million
show's not that
users
long.
that meets the standards of Visa, Discover, all the credit card companies. To collect credit card data, you have to pass certain tests. They have to rummage through your garbage and make sure you're
Oh my
not.
God, how much longer are you going to ramble? Fucking get to the point.
So he was so dead set on implementing this $8 payment system that he was willing to hand over all of the payment collection to Apple for a 30% cut of his own money just to get it rolled out as fast as possible.
So Roger in our Discord, and I've heard this argument a couple times. iOS is the biggest market. I disagree with you, especially when you talk
For Twitter,
about,
yeah, not at all.
especially when you talk about a global market as well. We have Abdul in YouTube talking about how most third world countries only use Android, so it wasn't that. I'm surprised by what you said, Tom, because that was the only thing I could possibly think of, is that they wanted Apple to handle the payment processing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Twitter already had payment processing in place. Like, they already had a way to handle payment process. They literally already had Twitter Blue. So I still don't understand that argument.
Users?
I don't. What's that matter? Who cares?
He fired everyone that knew how to implement this thing.
Well, that's his problem. But I still don't understand the billions of users thing. I mean, if you're taking payments, billions of transactions are handled every day.
And if it is billions of users, then maybe he's not losing money after all. If you have billions of users paying $8 a month for Twitter Blue, then maybe he's a fucking genius and we never saw it.
Except
so I
that
don't think it's a billion users, first off.
It's no, it's not. Also,
are you paying it? I'm not paying it.
No. So far, the only people I've seen who are paying it are people who intend to get banned that same payment period.
What? No.
So
to be clear, there's more to Twitter Blue than the verification. Like I said, I'm using it. I have it on PHP Architect, all for the same reason. You can undo tweets. You can edit tweets. There are other features, so it's not just that.
But you're talking about actual human programmers who just had the rest of their friends fired and they didn't know. I mean, like, this is the whole thing about we accidentally fired you.
How that changes the developers who got fired, how that changes whether or not it was on iOS or not.
Right. Somebody has to develop it, whether it's the person developing the iOS app to take payment or...
Right, so they accidentally fired the Android guy.
Do it via Stripe where you can just take credit card payments.
No,
subscriptions are already built in.
I shit you not. They accidentally fired the Android guy, and when Elon went to the cubicle farm and said, "Hey, we need to implement this," somebody said, "Hey, the iOS guy is still here, but the Android guy got fired by Tweetbot 2 days ago, and so he can't do it."
Isn't the functionality already there? Like I said, you can already purchase Twitter Blue. You could already purchase it.
The functionality for Twitter Blue,
and fine, you know what? Fine.
Is like
they fired the Android guy. Why can't you do it through the web? Why can't you do it through Chrome?
Why couldn't you write it in 2 days? In 2 weeks?
You want 2 hours?
I will implement Livewire and Tailwind to have a little check mark by everybody's name. I have no issue with that.
If the service goes down,
there's nothing to create.
1 second.
It's already there. It's
they don't
already
have that,
there.
And they don't have that many people jumping on to pay $8 a friggin' month.
Yes, they do.
It doesn't matter. It's already there. Listen
Okay,
to me.
but it's there in some
It's actually probably
relationship.
more work. So listen, it's probably more work. I have Twitter Blue. PHP Architect has Twitter Blue. Neither one
As
of us have the check mark
as a web
because
software developer, I
because we
can't believe you're
purchased
making this argument.
Twitter Blue before they implemented this extra feature. It has to be more work for them to not give us the check mark as opposed to saying, okay, if somebody has Twitter Blue, they now get a check mark. Now they're going through and say, oh, there are different levels of Twitter Blue, and only the newer people who purchased through iOS get this check mark. Yes, I'm speaking as a web developer. You're telling me that what they did was simpler than saying, okay, we're adding this new feature to Twitter Blue.
You don't think Stripe can handle that many transactions?
A, no. B, try to find the Stripe interface in 500,000 lines of code that are optimized for caching and for the fire hose, and tell the user.
So are you telling me they created a whole new app for iOS to do this? Create a whole new freaking
No, I'm saying they created. I'm saying they got a guy to create a flag. That's the reason the check mark is gray. They got a guy to create a flag and say, if iOS says they paid, then they paid.
This is a dumb conversation. Can we move on?
I'm fine with moving on.
I'm about to lose power.
GitHub had a conference, and apparently they're like the new Google conferences, man. Everybody is talking about the GitHub conference.
To get a free VR headset?
Probably. Did you talk about one of your cards, Tom?
Oh yeah, Elon still sucks. That was the name of the card.
I don't see it, but could you move it over to show notes, please, so I don't lose it? That's it's not a link or anything. What am I supposed to do with that?
Nothing.
Okay, never mind. So, anyways,
there was a note to myself that I'm glad
everybody is just going crazy about this GitHub conference, and I finally started checking out some of the tweets, and it's like, okay, so first thing, thank you, Microsoft. Like Microsoft just decided, hey, you guys,
I haven't
we know
seen
how to
anything
do
about
conferences.
this.
You haven't seen any of this stuff? Oh my gosh.
I haven't either.
All right, so let me start with the what I'm calling "We're sorry we stole your code. Let us try to make it up to you" tweet, where GitHub announced that they're going to dedicate $10 million to fund open source development moving forward.
Oh,
$10 million.
That's not going to be nearly enough.
So do you not? I mean, I could just see them sitting around a boardroom with a bunch of lawyers saying, hey, we might have jumped the gun on CoPilot and probably should have gotten a little bit more sign off. How should we fix this?
Okay, so
we're just going to give $10 million to open source developers and see if they'll forgive us.
Did you see the link that I have in my Trello board, which is to GitHub
I did not. I'm looking at it now.
So this is a standing class action lawsuit against GitHub Copilot for and this is my favorite part. They literally call it software piracy, which boy, if you wanted me to be empathetic is the wrong word. But
I don't
they're not necessarily wrong. They're not necessarily wrong. And now there are places where they are clearly wrong. They're saying that the GitHub Copilot ignored the licenses that were attached to the different open source projects. I know for a fact that GitHub Copilot did check the licenses, and if they matched a free use policy or a GNU policy, then it was perfectly fine to take the code. And GNU, if you're not familiar, basically means free as in free, not free as in beer. You can take it and use it however you want with no attribution, no commentary. So you could sweep thousands or hundreds of thousands of GNU open source projects and not be violating anything by not attributing, because GNU at its core says attribution is not necessary. Is my understanding. Also, welcome to the show. I'm usually wrong. But hey, you know what's really nice is when I'm wrong, I catch it. Like Honey Badger.
When you're in production, 1,000 things can go wrong. You could deploy a bug in your latest release. Your background jobs can silently fail. Someone could trip over the network cable at your data center, and this all comes back to you. You need to know when bad things happen and be able to respond to them quickly. That's why we built Honey Badger. It's easy to install Honey Badger in your back-end applications and front-end JavaScript. It only takes a few minutes of configuration and you'll have monitoring done. That's because we hook into popular web frameworks, job systems, and the browser, so that when any of them crash, we can automatically let you know. We ping your application from our global fleet of servers to let you know about problems with connectivity, latency, and SSL certificates, and we monitor your recurring jobs to see if any of them stop recurring. When there's a problem, we alert your team using the tools you already use. We can create issues in GitHub, Jira, and other issue trackers, and send notifications via Slack, PagerDuty, or other channels. When you click through, you'll be taken to detailed information on the error. You'll see things like request parameters, headers, user information, and the backtrace. Click on any line of the backtrace to view it in GitHub, Bitbucket, or your local editor. When you fix a problem, just mark it resolved and follow up with the affected user. That's Honey Badger. We're the monitoring tool for web developers who'd rather be, well, developing.
Thank you, Honey
Thank
Badger.
you, Honey Badger. Yes, sorry, Abdul. Yeah, the bot is a Discord bot. So if you want to suggest titles, you need to jump into our Discord at discord.phpugly.com.
And you should be over here with us anyway, because it's all week, not just during the show.
What kind of people would you even imagine finding there?
I don't know if all this commands still work, Sevi. I need to give the bots some love, but all sorts of interesting people. Hey, did you run into Ralph by chance, John?
I did.
Running into Ralph.
Yep,
Ralph's one of my favorite people.
He is fun to talk to.
Yeah. All right. So, talking about GitHub, talking about Copilot, talking about class action, talking about GitHub and / Microsoft now giving $10 million to open source. Then they doubled down on CoPilot. So we've talked about CoPilot for a very long time in the show. The good, the bad, the ugly. Get it? PHPUgly. Hello. Now, the thing that the big thing they presented for CoPilot, well, there are a couple things they presented for CoPilot, but one of the things they did is basically they have it like Alexa. You now talk to your IDE editor. And CoPilot writes your code for you.
I saw this.
Oh, you did see this. You saw this one.
I saw this. This is...
So the funny thing about this is something I already do. Like, I'm pretty sure my wife thinks I'm crazy because when I code, and I've been pair programming with my Spanish-speaking kid in Discord, helping them with some Python work, and they've gotten firsthand experience of it as well. But when I code, I'm like talking to the code. Like, I'm like, okay, why, now I need you to do this. Now I want you to do this. Now we're going to do this. I don't know if of the three of us, if I'm the only one that does that, but I'm bad at it. from the perspective of I'm pretty sure I drive my wife crazy with it.
How? She's on the other end of the house in a different wing.
It's very loud.
Yeah.
Hey
But,
Siri,
So yeah,
what
now
time is it?
you'll be able to just talk and Copilot will write everything out for you.
Yeah, this
I can't
is
see anything going wrong there.
well, so this is an interesting. This is an interesting. Hey, remember the '90s thing for me.
Okay.
Like, do you remember in the '90s when talking your Word documents was the biggest thing in the world? Like,
What, Dragon Speak?
Oh yeah,
Is that what it's called?
This CD-ROM comes with a microphone. Microphones are very rare, and like, no, but the implication here with Copilot is that they're enabling disabled people to still operate at the highest level of code.
Listen, I don't need that competition, Tom.
But if you're talking anyway, if that's how you're inputting your code, because that's how you do it, aren't you going to get the Copilot responses anyway?
Well, okay, I haven't used their system, but I have used Copilot, and the natural language interpretation that they have implemented is very surprising. And I have talked in the past about communicating with Copilot via comments, where I write a comment that says, my intention is this. And Copilot is very good at understanding intention.
I don't know. I had to disable because it was driving me crazy.
Yeah, because it's not for you, but I have friends who are wheelchair bound or paralyzed from the neck down, or
I meant Copilot in general.
I don't think that
not talking.
That's what John was implying.
But no, what I'm saying is that there are incredibly capable people who cannot type. I mean, Stephen Hawking is the best example of this, if not a trope. But this is software to enable the most.
You're gonna talk though.
I was saying Stephen Hawking actually
not
used
the
the computer to talk. So
no, not at the, no.
He could have just coded that whole time, you know.
Not at the end. He was capable of talking for about 40 years before he lost control of his larynx. It was a progressive disease. Jesus Christ, you guys are ableist.
Okay, so I'm saying maybe we're not. Tom has a soapbox he wants to stand on here. Go ahead, keep going. You done? Fantastic. So if another feature of Copilot is well, let me rewind this a little bit. If you've been in the Laravel world long enough, you've probably come up on Beyond Code. The kind of the one thing that everybody knows Beyond Code for is Tinkerwell. Tinkerwell is a standalone application that runs Tinker for you for your Laravel app. But they have a lot of stuff. They're kind of like a spotty thing. You know, they make all these apps that a lot of people use. They had been talking and promoting a new service that they created called whatthediff.ai. And essentially, if my understanding of it correctly, is that it would do code reviews for you when you submit a pull request. And it would, intelligently tell you or make recommendations to your pull requests.
I hate this.
I had not played with it yet. I've been meaning to play with it. I get it on my Twitter stream all the time, and I just hadn't had a chance to look at it. But I guess this is going to be something that GitHub offers via Copilot now, where Copilot is going to intelligently make recommendations to PRs on fixes and things that you can change.
Can I correct you?
I don't think I could stop you, Tom.
So, what the diff is an AI that differentiates between what was happening and what is now happening. It doesn't make any recommendations.
Mhm.
It just says previously we were checking for session counts on an attribute of the user. Now we're checking for session counts as a relationship in the model. So it summarizes diffs, but doesn't make recommendations.
So it just creates the PR for you based on your diffs.
Right. So when
Gotcha.
when you make a swath of changes, it just says, "Hey, this is different from this in this way." It's the sort of inverse of Copilot.
So what's the AI of that then? Why would they be using AI for that?
So the AI for that is that it's accessible across multiple files. Whereas previously we talked about how Copilot is only able to read the current file that you're editing. Now this is saying I'm trying to understand what it is you're doing and trying to explain why it's now different. And it has access to your entire project directory. These are sort of bigger issues within the AI coding space, which is what does it have access to, and where is it drawing code from? And the what the diff John's power is going to be randomly shut off during this podcast. I'm not sure if we've mentioned that already. He's just
We have
going to
not.
be suddenly in the dark with one monitor hooked up to a UPS to provide lighting for his 8 cameras hooked up to UPSs. But no, this what the diff is it's trying to use human language to explain changes across 2 diffs and say, like, I used to be looking up the carbon time, now I'm looking up.
Yeah. Well, Buttery asked a good question. What do people not know what they do? What they do in a PR? And I think the problem is most of us don't make good PR comments. We don't write a good description. So I think this is just adding another level of this is what we think changed or how we changed it, so that in case you missed it in the description, it's there.
I will go further than that and say that the 3 of us, as shameful as it is, are experts in our field. And that bringing on...
You didn't see my talk at Longhorn. What?
I don't know how, but I lost power to my monitor instead of you losing powers to yours. We are experts. We are very accustomed to being experts and writing out well thought out, complete commits, and handling things.
OBS is a little wonky there, buddy.
Yeah, my monitor just randomly shut off.
Abdul, so here's the catch, right? I don't think anybody's accusing Microsoft or GitHub of actually stealing ideas. What they're accusing them of is improperly using their code and not adhering to a license that
they're only supposed to be using open source code.
I mean, this has been a long conversation. With there is some very, especially when we talk enterprise, there are very non-trusting people where they think just using GitHub, because if you think about it, if you use GitHub, you're literally giving them the keys to your kingdom. You're giving them all your proprietary code, open source code, however you decide to categorize your code, you're putting it on their server. They have access to that. I mean, that's the dirty little secret in our industry, right? So, but nobody's accusing them of that. Nobody's saying that they're stealing ideas.
And that's why this lawsuit is going to crash and burn, is because the only people that can produce evidence against GitHub is GitHub. So they can say all we've ever accessed is GNU projects where there's no attribution license and there's no restrictions on re-implementation. And this has been going on since the 90s, when Microsoft was accused of appropriating code from other operating systems where they hired people with intellectual property that did not belong to them. And this is a fight that just keeps happening. Somebody pays $2 billion. No one fucking cares. It just happens again and again.
Apparently, they can't process credit cards on anything but iOS. I know it's the age-old story of development.
It's a story as old as time.
All right, we're running along.
Are we?
You're running along. You're just nervous you're going to lose power.
I'm not nervous I'm going to.
Well, before John loses power, I'm sorry for screaming into my microphone, we have to thank somebody very special in my life. Our patrons on Patreon.
Thank you, patrons.
I say, are you going to say thank you, Tom?
Thank you, Tom.
There you go. Yes, our Patreons. Our Patreon supporters, we do appreciate, as Tom walks away at the most weirdest moments. What are we supposed to be talking about now? Oh my gosh.
Wow.
All right.
So,
I'm gonna go ahead.
I was gonna say, so yeah, I don't know. Go for it. I'm done. I'm so tired.
So another new tool that I didn't get to play with, and I will put into our Trello board for Discord to take a look at. Another reason why you want to be on our Discord channel, because as we're going through a lot of these topics, Tom doesn't like to share his screen. I share my screen. I would be showing you this stuff, but Tom doesn't do that. But we do share them in Discord. We have a little bot that will print them out. JetBrains announced a new, and we just lost John. I'm here by myself. Dear God, I'm on the Patreon. Oh, we're okay. We're okay. Oh, Tom's back. We're okay. Jesus. I think John just lost power. So
yes, I have the bladder. I have the bladder of a 10-year-old. If you want to make an episode about that, we can do it.
So I was just talking about JetBrains just released a new product called Aqua Preview.
Holy shit. I feel dirty talking about this without having John here, but it is cool as shit.
Have you played with it? I haven't played with it yet.
No, it's not my territory anymore. I don't do QA stuff, but my best friend and a good colleague of mine.
Okay, before you talk about that, can you explain what it is?
Yes. So it's a browser. Well, boy, can I explain what it is?
I mean, you're going. It's almost like
it's an IDE that has a browser integrated as a logical component. So you can say, this is a thing I want to reference, and it will go back into your code and say, here's how you reference this thing.
What was that? What is that browser extension that you use that basically says, hey, when you hit this page, look for these elements, fill out this form, make sure you go here. What was that called?
What, Selenium?
There was a Selenium. Yeah. That's what this reminded me of, Selenium.
Well, so this goes kind of beyond Selenium and says, I want to have a Selenium driver execute a test, but I don't want to figure out what the XPath is for these components. Or like sometimes these components are modular, so the XPath will change. So it's a browser in an IDE that says, hey, here's how you properly reference this thing. And when it executes, you can say, hey, this obviously is slower or faster. It needs a sleep or a wait, or but then it also has a number of features that are extraordinarily unique to the testing environments. Logging, diffing tracking, like same thing rendered differently or different thing rendered the same. It's a fascinating improvement in automated testing. Now, again, we literally don't do automated testing. None of us do. Automated testing is the realm of SDETs, and it's something that I am aware of. But I'm an integration tester, integration unit tester. This sort of inline behavior, Selenium stuff, I don't care about. But it can generate random numbers, it can generate random URLs, random emails, and say like, hey, when you're on this field, generate an email. It's compatible with Python, Perl, PHP, Java, and it generates a test suite that matches your existing test suite as a as an SDET test, as an active test. It's a really interesting tool. I sent it to my QA team, and I'll be hearing back from them about how it works out for them in the next couple weeks. It's available for download right now, which is great. But it's a tool that did not previously exist outside of browser extensions that did it poorly.
All right.
No! I have something to say.
I'm not done either, but sure.
Oh, I thought you were cutting me off and saying we're going to bed.
Well, I mean, at some point. Go ahead. You interrupted me, so by all means, keep fucking talking, Tom.
Laravel 10.
Are you what? Yes.
I am not currently in the Laravel community,
as you remind us of every week.
But Laravel 10 is making a big change that I have been a proponent of for a long time, and it deserves attention. Laravel 10 will be using native type declarations for everything.
I think we talked about this already. Pretty sure we talked about this last week or the week before, but keep going. Because we talked about doing a PHP stand that would let them know where they need to add it.
I don't know. No, I don't know. I'm just so excited about this. No more doc.
Matter of fact, you know how I know we talked about this? Wait, you know how I know we talked about this?
Yeah,
Benjamin Krozak, or I'm sure I butchered that name, who wrote this article, tweeted about how you didn't remember his name as the author of this article. Did you not see that?
Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair at all.
It's totally fair. It sounded 100% on brand for you.
Benjamin Krozak. God
go
damn
to the
it.
go to the PHPUgly on Twitter. I responded from the PHPUgly.
Okay, I have to be referenced in anything to
You were.
Okay, so you have to hit me up on Slack to let me know I've got a
Well, you
reference
should have
on
gotten a
Twitter.
notification because I'm
I
pretty
don't.
sure.
Twitter sucks. I don't do Twitter.
Where
Let
did,
me start
where-
over. Let me
where-
start
where'd
over.
that go? Go ahead. You
Let me
start over.
start
I'm,
over.
I'm gonna find this tweet
Here's an
and throw it
update.
into Discord for people to
An
laugh at
update
you
to
and
a
mock
previous an update to a previous conversation we had. Benjamin Crozat has pointed out that
Here we
now
go.
all PHP 10 methods will be using native types instead of doc blocks.
As we talked about a couple weeks ago, but in episode 310, it was last week. He even posted a screenshot of the episode. That's how awesome he is.
Getting very tired of people posting screenshots of me saying
Being
something wrong on this podcast. It seems like it's becoming a habit. Xdebug.
What are you still talking for? I told you
I'm
I had
covering the
things
news.
to talk about.
I'm
Go
covering
ahead.
the news. I'm covering
I
the
like
news.
Derek, so I'm gonna let you talk about XDebug.
Xdebug in its
Are we gonna keep talking till John gets power back? Is that your plan? Hey, okay, so John would never agree to this. But
now I'm interested.
How would you feel about doing like a 24-hour podcast? Do you think you have it in you?
Yeah. Especially
I don't
right
know.
now. I have so much to work on.
Oh gosh, I don't know if anybody would want to listen to. We need to do it for a good cause. I don't know what we do it for. Okay, do your Xdebug, and then we need to wrap up at some point.
I'm sorry. The only good cause I could think of was their rights.
Okay. Xdebug?
Xdebug is moving along in a very interesting way. It really feels like Derek doesn't want to do this anymore. And he's just very tired.
Full disclosure, we are a sponsor of Derek on GitHub.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the blog entries.
The blog entries. I don't blame him. Yeah, it always seems like a good idea until you start writing them. It's
right.
Like, this is stupid.
But the big news is that PHP Storm's latest EAP, 2022.3 EAP number 5, supports Xdebug's return value debugging, which is the idea that values aren't lost once they're modified. You can look back in time and see how values were modified. It's a big, important, helpful change for Xdebug, and PHP Storm is the only thing that supports it right now. I'm still a VS Code user. There was also a big article on
So
Reddit.
you're not a Laravel user, you're not a PHP Storm user, but you want to talk about Laravel and PHP Storm. Okay, got it. Check and check. Go ahead.
Yeah. There's a big article on Reddit about about implementing PHP support in Visual Studio. And anyone who replied to it or commented on it is immediately blocked from my Twitter. If you think you should be doing Visual Studio and PHP together, you are in a special category who don't get to talk to me.
All right, cool. I got my new keyboard in. I didn't even get to talk about my new keyboard. Look at that. I got my new keyboard in.
It's a Moonlander.
No, it's not. This is my new Kinesis. It's the new Kinesis that's modular. So it's like a Moonlander and Kinesis Advantage 2 had a baby, and this is what they made.
Can I?
This is called the Advantage 360, and it is an advantage of 360 degrees.
I'm sharing on our Discord something I saw that was just fucking magical this week. A beautiful portable keyboard.
Why is it in the Discord? Why don't you throw it in? Well, that goes nowhere, at least for me.
Because
What?
Discord
Yeah.
is for fans.
Nope.
Speaking of
Reddit-
fans,
Reddit's not liking you. That at least for me, it's showing up. Oh wait, is that URL is wrong? Maybe. How about we take off a slash? Yep, you got too many slashes on there. Okay, throw that in our Trello. I am a professional and I can debug things like that. So I figure things out. I've lost our Trello. All right, this is the last link going into Trello. That's our show notes.
John's lost power. Eric's lost Trello. It's been a pleasure speaking with everyone tonight.
You had a good time.
I'm so glad we get to continue doing this until I say something that gets me fired.
Oh, was that an option? Could I fire you?
Nope.
Probably fire you.
You can't.
Well, why did you say it then? All right. I mean, you've been fired before and you were still on the show, so that didn't stop you from showing up. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Haven't really been fired before.
I call it you being fired. It makes me feel better.
I've been told that I'm
fired.
I'm working below my pay grade.
Oh gosh. Okay. You're working below your pay grade. That hurts.
Yeah, it does.
Do I know that? Do I know? Oh, you know who I have to thank for this keyboard, by the way, is your old boss. Your old boss,
Jose.
Jose.
Josie.
Anybody who knows me knows that I love my Kinesis 360. Advantage 2. My Kinesis Advantage 2. Matter of fact, it's still sitting here on my desk. This has been my main keyboard for the last couple of years, and I love this thing. Matter of fact, my keys are being worn out, and I've been thinking about purchasing a new one. Then I got wind of the fact that Kinesis was working on. Oh, I did actually end up purchasing a new one. I purchased the Moonlander, which is behind me here. So I got myself a Moonlander, and
we're gonna end up with a sister podcast called Keep Talk.
Yeah, because you keep talking about him. Where'd you go? I just lost you.
All I did was plug in my computer. My keyboard.
I can still hear you if that's good.
Oh, that's fucking great.
So I did get a Moonlander, and I used it for a while, and I liked this Moonlander a lot. I actually didn't get it to replace my Kinesis. I got my Moonlander as a travel keyboard, and then I just didn't do a lot of traveling, so whatever. But there were some features on the Moonlander that I liked that my Kinesis didn't have, and there's some things in the Kinesis that I liked that the Moonlander didn't have. Then I found out that Kinesis was coming out with a modular keyboard, which is the Advantage 360. I got the Pro Edition, so this is even Bluetooth. And my God, I just got it in today, and I have never felt so good using a keyboard. Now I haven't spent a lot of time with it. So did we just lose stream? Did we just lose the stream?
I don't fucking know, man.
Hey, Discord, am I still on the stream? I don't know. You let us know. But anyways, I just got this keyboard today, so maybe I will end up not liking it at some point, but I don't see that happening. I actually love this keyboard right now, and I am so happy I purchased it. All right, we're told that we're still in the stream, so let's go ahead and wrap this up before.
No, I magicked it away. We're good.
Are you sure? I'm done talking.
I'm not sure that I properly explained the elephant situation.
Well, let me see if I can name those elephants. I see a PHP architect one. I see a Laravel one. Is that Laravel?
Yeah, the red one.
And PHP Roundtable?
Yeah, that's the tough one. That's the one people don't usually get is the round
Hey,
table.
I was right.
The round
I
table
would be
elephant.
the one to get that. Did I give that to you?
No, I stole it.
Well, that makes sense.
The only thing you didn't give to me is a shirt and an elephant for
I
not
tried to give
being
you.
flexible.
Yeah. Okay. At least you're honest. So
I know who I am. No, but the elephants was an intellectual power play for sure, where I was being questioned as to my authority on like how services versus models get handled. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go grab a drink. Also, look at my fucking elephants. You don't know. You know how you get these?
You know what I've noticed though?
You get these by being the best.
I noticed you said, "Oh yeah, I know Taylor, I know Derek, I know." You talk about all these people, and how starstruck your other developer friends are. I don't ever hear you say, "Oh yeah, I know Eric," and you say that the people are impressed.
That's true. Hey, it's been a great episode. Thank everybody for listening.
Appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Eric.
I'm Tom. John's in a blackout. Keep it ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2.
1, 2,
coming
1,
off
2.
the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric.
I have said
he's never on some average shit.
Eric,
he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host name Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP,
and
the ugly.
everyone
It's
I've
called
told so
ugly
far
because
goes,
it's not professional.
cool.
But I'm about to come through and bless it with
God
style.
damn it.
Let's do it when I'm spitting, I
Okay, so this is gonna be interesting.
segment of the show
What
is
is this,
called
like
Doom
a-
and Gloom. That came from Thomas.
like a
Yeah,
zine?
can nobody go beyond this?
John's,
I get the mic and then I'm about to
John's,
keep it like a promise.
audio is
Yeah,
not,
and y'all know we
not
fill
here.
them up with anguish. We talking
We do
about the
not have
PHP,
John's
the
audio.
programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration.
So
What
that
y'all do
means
for a living web
you will need to
applications.
stop
Okay,
the
I can
singing
dig it.
so
My
I
words
can
spray tight.
pull it down
They
from there.
getting together on the Thursday nights.
You
Yeah,
can talk
when
about
it comes to
Facebook firing
rhyming, you can
11,000
call me the new dude. That's few
employees.
true lyrics.
There's a
by your
lot of
podcast
things
on
we didn't
YouTube.
talk
So
about
let's
today.
get it.
Yeah.
You know my
Like,
lyrics
where
are
do we
major.
start?
All up in the comments, they got
Exactly.
plenty of haters. But
How
they
many
doing
people
what
did
they doing.
Elon
Keep
end
it
up letting go at
ugly. We
Twitter?
ending every
It
show
had to
with
be
the
around
saying it's
11,000.
lovely. Let's go.
So it was
Hey,
actually
shout out to
more
y'all. Peace
people,
to the
but it
whole
was a
squad,
smaller
man. Hope your
percentage
channel is
of the
doing
company.
real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all.
So the thing about Elon is he relied on productivity matrices to figure out who to fire, and then fired everyone who was under a certain productivity level, and didn't realize that like DevOps is 0% productive for 364 days of the year, but that one day they're fucking essential.
Well, that's the
So-
thing, right? I used to say this all the time. When people know who works in DevOps, then DevOps is not doing their job.
Well,
That's
like,
just the reality of it. Or operations, really, not DevOps.
and this is the
operations.
whole idea with institutional knowledge, is that you can have a dude who doesn't do shit for 3 years, but he has the institutional knowledge of that no one else has, and you just have to pay that guy.
Nah, that's not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing, but it
That's not
is
a
the
good thing.
reality. It's absolutely reality. When you have a company that has 100,000 employees, there's gonna be a dude who does nothing most of the time. but when you call him, he fucking nails it. That dude gets paid $200,000 for the institutional knowledge that he has. It's not good, but it's reality. And what happened with Elon's big firing spree was he fired everybody who knew how to do anything. And when the slightest hiccup happened, they got totally screwed. He fired a dude who was in charge of banning accounts. The dude banned Elon Musk's account, like his actual account, on his way out the door. And it took him hours to figure out how to unban himself because he just fired the only guy who knew how to do it. Like, it's... Imagine coming into a company the size of Twitter thinking that you know what the fuck you're doing. I would never. I'm intimidated by the size of my company. And they're asking me to make radical changes. And I'm like, I'm not pushing anything until this gets approved by a senior developer who's already been with the company. Elon is like the pull request approver right now because he thinks he understands what that means. It's such a nightmare.
What was a Discord? What was it? Somebody had suggested something. Was it Book of Ugly? I think it was Book of Ugly.
I like
Book
it.
of Ugly.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think I'm gonna go with Book of Ugly. What is going on here?
I have said this before, and I have to say this again. This podcast is about friends talking about programming and work.
Oh, I should probably save this for next week, but I'm going to tell you now.
Am I fired?
You might want to fire yourself. Wait, I'm looking for Book of Ugly, not for kids. Oh, that's my Spanish speaking kid that presented that one. I think we're going to use that as our title. I didn't get through all of them. I think I'm up to around episode 220, 250. I have to go back and look. I've been transcribing all of our shows. So I've been putting all of our shows. So things like, when did Tom first mention Colorado on the show? I've been looking for things like that, and it's coming up. It works beautifully. I love this service. So I'll let you know when I'm done, so that we have a good catalog of when
Please
people
don't.
said what, and what show it was exactly. And
there have been several articles about the NSA mapping people's houses with microwave radiation that I haven't included in our Trello board because you guys are assholes. And for the moment I bring it up, like, hey bro, that was years ago. We don't even care anymore.
Oh god. So right. We are assholes.
No, you're friends. This is the thing I try to keep, like, the most important thing to me when people at my company ask me, like, what's the name of your podcast? I'm like, bro, you have to understand, this is 3 friends just shooting the shit. Please don't listen to this podcast and think it has anything to do with my professional life. Like,
what is going on here? I have just completely lost all hope of existence here. What's going on? Repos? Oh, where did my bat cave go? I have a bad computer, not cave. There we go. Now we can get our show notes. My little back computer is what actually writes our show notes. So it's very important that I get that
Okay,
working.
so what is your network naming schema?
What do you mean? As far as what? I don't name networks anymore. What do you mean?
No, like all your components. What do you name your little devices?
My computers?
Yeah.
I've been doing a Batman theme this last round. So my Pi is called Robin. My main computer is called Batcave. My old laptop is still Diego Dev 1.
I
Yeah,
have high hopes of running like a home lab. So all my current stuff is named after moons of planets.
moons. The first kind of professional job I had, they were named after mountains here in California. So there are different summits.
Oh
And
yeah.
that was a good one. Moons is a good one. That's a really good one.
I'd love to
recommend.
see the history, because I remember in 99
Mhm.
working on a network for an enterprise company. The way they named things was so much nerdier. Like beyond what I could imagine as nerdy. And I love being nerdy. The moons of planets within our solar system, pretty nerdy. But like the children of Ophelia, and then like it's just I love nerds, man. It's
So I got to give you some credit. I don't think I've ever given you this
I don't
credit, and
think
I'll
you
do
ever
it
give me any
now
credit.
that uh, now that the show's over. I will do it. But I have
It's really hard for you. I
gotten
can feel that.
such an appreciation for Rick and Morty that I actually burned through the entire series again over the last week of
Not
watching from season 1 to the last season.
not sure how that has to do with me.
Cause you kept talking and just going on and on about Rick and Morty. I'm like, I don't have time for a stupid cartoon. I'm not gonna watch a stupid cartoon. You kept saying, no, you gotta understand, like the geekiness of the show is like beyond anything. I'm like, yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. And then yeah, sure enough. I don't know when I started watching it. I know I started watching it very late. Like I think I started watching it right when they started doing like the 2 and 3 year break between seasons.
Oh yeah.
So like I kind of watched it for like a season. I'm like, all right, and then the next season came out. I'm like, okay, and then at some point I went back and got caught up. And yeah, I mean, I have gone through it yet again, Rick and Morty, and
Well,
I just can't even tell you why I like it. It's just kind of one of these things.
I can, but Rick and Morty is a pop culture phenomenon. And the creator, Dan Harmon, this is basically his second pop culture phenomenon. His first was Community. And he's approaching it in a very deliberate way, where he's basically saying, like, you don't get what you want, because Community was all about getting exactly what you wanted. As a fan, you got exactly what you wanted. But Rick and Morty is about getting, like, not getting what you want. You're going to be disappointed at every turn. And why is that different than other modern television shows? And one of his big points was female writers. So he basically said, for the newest season, this show appeals to white males And so I'm going to hire an entirely female, racially diverse group of writers so that they completely contradict your expectations and your wishes for this. You don't get what you want. And, and that was the great thing about the internet is the internet instantly pointed out, hey, this is all the new writers for the new season. They don't appeal to me in any way whatsoever. They're not my writers. And Dan Harmon was like, yes, you don't get what you want. So the new season is all about, if you're not comfortable adjusting your expectations, then we don't care about you. It's a very smart move. But basically he said, I write from the perspective of a heterosexual white male, and I am removing myself from this project completely so that you don't get what you want. It's a really smart guy. Did some bad things.
You read way more into that show than I did. I did not get all that out of it. But
It's important to me to understand where the art comes from. There was just the article about the abstract painting that was hung upside down for 70 years and no one fucking noticed. Like, that's important to me. The fact that no one noticed is such an amazing commentary on what is art. Right? In the same way that,
oh my god, I feel like we should be sitting in a coffee shop right now. Okay, I need it. We didn't get a picture. Actually, I don't know how I'm gonna work that in. Oh, Book of Ugly. What am I gonna do here? I need a Book of Ugly.
say it.
Huh?
Just say it.
Say what?
You just need a picture of me.
No, but I can't think of how to work it in. Oh, you can be a librarian. Oh, you want to be a librarian? Oh yeah, Book of Ugly. In Tom, you're going to be a librarian. I'm glad you said something. Okay, give me a librarian face. Hold on, let me get your screen big. Hold on, don't do it yet. Wait. Oh shit! I always hit the wrong button. Hold on. Okay. Are you getting props? Oh, good. All right, that's good. But you're no. You're do the shush thing. Do like this. Look at me. Yeah. You can put your prop down because I already have books. Do the shush. Take your headphones off, and look at me. Look, hey, look at me. Look. Got it. You're good. All right. I want to put you in a librarian outfit. I don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, that's not a thing. That's
no. We're definitely gonna make it a thing. Just don't know what it's gonna be yet. Let me see. I need to get. Boop. All right, there we go. So here's the thing. If you guys want me to talk about this on the show next week, I will. But all right. So back to my Kinesis Advantage 2. Okay. As everybody knows, I'm a big keyboard user. Do a lot of them. I try not to reach.
So weird because you're not about customizing. You're about buying new keyboards.
I try not to reach
your own.
Jesus, can I fucking finish?
No,
talking? I try not reaching for my mouse.
No.
One of the things I do quite frequently is the cap locks key. I actually map it to Control. So on the Kinesis, what this allows me to do with one hand is to do control, copy, control, paste, right? So the control will be under my thumb and I can do copy, paste. I like that. That's how I've been working for the last couple of years with my Advantage 2. With the Advantage 360, much like the Moonlander, there's no escape key up in the upper left-hand corner. They have their escape key where the cap lock key would go, or where I would normally put my control key. So I'm having to remember that I keep hitting my escape key when I'm trying to do certain things that I think I'm hitting my control key in. That's the only issue with this keyboard, is that the escape key, the escape key is actually in a very convenient position. It's right under your pinky. So when I'm in Vim and stuff, I no longer have to reach up to the left-hand corner. It's under my pinky.
I'm getting more Vim oriented because of my keyboard.
I can understand that.
I'm running a 70% keyboard. I don't have F keys.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, this doesn't have F keys. Check it out. No F keys.
Right, but I have two modulo keys that I use.
Yeah, this has two as well.
So like for me, an F key is the FN 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's because I barely use my F keys.
That's what this is. Yeah, FN. It actually has
I also repring it. So like backtick is app escape. Like, well, have you seen the program I use for my keyboard?
You have to keep talking. I'm working with graphics right now. What's up? What program do you use for your keyboard?
So I'm pulling it up now.
Is it an open source? Let me see if I can guess it. Is it the ZMX?
No, it's VIA.
VIA.
Yeah. So
VIA is.
Hold on. I gotta pee again. I got the bladder for.
What is? You really need to see a doctor.
Yes. No, I don't. You need to see a doctor. Check your testicle.
See, now if I was controlling the stream right now, I would just be sharing what I do in post with you guys. I don't know if you guys care, but if you guys are hanging out to this extent, I don't think I think you'd watch anything at this point. All right. So I need to find like a classic librarian image. Let's see why. Nope, that's not right. Driving me crazy. That key is driving me crazy. Anybody talking to me in Discord? I am not paying attention to Discord. I apologize. Let me get my Discord up here so I can at least see it. I swear to God, don't get me. Let's see, my kids are still here. Buttery, what do you got to say? Let me hear you, Buttery. Talk to me, Buttery.
I can't share my screen. I'll work on it for next week. Can I tell you something that you can't tell just between me and you?
Okay, no problem. It'll just be you and I and everybody else listening.
I love my children so very much. But they are their father's children.
Okay, I do need you to stop the stream though. I need to grab the audio from YouTube. I can't grab it until you stop the stream.
Okay, well then I have to finish the story.
Okay, you finish your story. That's all right. I'm still looking for a good librarian body for
My
you?
wife is a
My
big
body. You sounded like what's his name? Borak.
yes. My wife is a big proponent of open communication amongst parents and children.
Not that.
And I appreciate that. But having my son come home with his hands in his pockets and his head held high, telling me, I'm a man now.
Oh dear God. Where's this going?
I don't fucking need that in my life.
Is this PHP ugly after dark?
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
How old's your kid? How old? Old enough to be a dad?
19, 19, and 20.
19, 19, 20. So old enough to be a dad.
That's a different story. My wife was flirtatious as a teenager. So my wife is technically a grandmother now. I am not.
A grandmother? I would not. I would never accuse you of being a grandmother.
I think that's hilarious.
Oh, I need to do something with your hand there, Tom. You just that arm messes things up here.
4.5.
I'm not going to make you take the picture again because that would be mean, but I do need to figure out what I'm going to do here.
So what we're going to do.
Oh, this is not working. I'm just gonna
Thank you to all
dump
of
the
our
whole.
Thank you to all of our listeners. Thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you to everybody in Discord.
Discord.
I appreciate it more than you can ever understand. And please have a wonderful night. And we're gonna sign out.
Abdul, I will put I post the thumbnail in Discord before I put it on YouTube. So
I
yes,
thought
you
so
will
too.
see it.
No, I thought the sunglasses thing. I thought that was good. I'm with you.
What was good? What? What did I miss?
Abdul was saying that the adjusting the glasses is a good librarian look.
Yeah, but you didn't do that in the picture.
That's what he's saying.
All right, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna put that. I need just to erase that arm. That whole arm is whacked. That whole arm is whacked. I need to erase that whole arm. You should have come up like this, not like this. What is this? Who does that?
Good night.
Bye.